Evening, everybody. As planned, we are talking tonight about our cruise on Ventura. Now, this was a year and a half ago now, so some of the stuff may have changed, but a lot of it will have stayed the same. And I've had a look at the itinerary that she's doing this August for the same time we went, and it has pretty much remained the same. Well, in fact, it has stayed exactly the same. So, what we're going to go through is stuff that um, basically is the same as what it's going to be this year. So for us, we drove up on the Saturday morning. It was absolutely horrendous. The weather was rubbish, wasn't it? Driving up, we did it in the one car, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we drove up on Saturday morning. Weather was rubbish. We had booked sort of a Premier Inn, not a Premier Inn, but beef eater sort of place that's connected to the Premier Inn, hadn't we, for breakfast? Can't remember where it was. It was fairly near Southampton, and obviously had breakfast there. I think our boarding time on the cruise ship was early afternoon, wasn't it? From memory.
Yeah, about 2 o'clock, I think.
Yeah, so we had to sort of lose ourselves a little bit in Southampton. So we went to the shopping centre, which is sort of opposite the front. It wasn't loads to do there, but it sort of lost a few hours, didn't it, as it were. What I would say about the cruise and the boarding times is, don't arrive massively earlier, because they're not going to let you on, and obviously it just helps to get everyone on the ship as quick as possible. So just bear that in mind, that whatever time they give you, I would say don't arrive any more than sort of half an hour before. The parking, we did the NCP parking, didn't we? So pulled up. They sort of walked around the car with the iPad for checking for any damage. Take a picture of your mileage just so you've got it for your own records. That would be my advice with that. As anything like that, just got to protect yourself as much as possible. Suitcase, we were told where to take the suitcases. I think there was 3 sort of chutes, weren't there? Sort of front, middle, and rear, wasn't there, from memory?
Depending on where you are on the ship.
So we did that. We had mum with us, so we sort of had, like we've had at the airport before, sort of special assistance. So it was quite easy sort of getting through, but it didn't look that difficult regardless, did it really? There wasn't massive queues from memory. It certainly seems a lot better organised at these cruise terminals than it does airports. A lot more quicker. I mean, I think from the time we got there to the time we were actually walking onto the ship, it was no more than half an hour, was it? So all very quick. Once you're on the ship, you go to sort of your muster station, where you're sort of told to go just check in, so they know you're on board. And then sort of none of the sort of the main dining rooms are open. It was sort of the buffet that was open, wasn't it? So it was a bit difficult sort of getting tables, because you sort of had everyone congregating in the same place, didn't you? But we managed to find a table. I'll come on to sort of the buffet in due course, sort of later on in the chat. If anyone does want to put any comments on, any questions, obviously feel free. So we were on board, as we said, sort of early afternoon. You can't go to your rooms, anything like that. So you are, as I say, just sort of have a walk around the sort of buffet. Because the weather was pretty rubbish, as I said, although you could go outside, there wasn't really much you could do because the weather was pretty horrible. So I think we left. It was around about 5:30, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Certainly by that time, and I can't remember timings exactly, guys. But we were in our rooms by then, weren't we? But what I'll say is, and there's another good thing about these cruise ships, is your luggage is at your room when you get there, isn't it?
Yeah.
So there's no sort of messing around. The luggage is ready for you, to go into the room. you know, the only slightly unlucky thing is that Mum and James were on one side of the ship and we were on the other side. So we were on sort of opposite sides, although we were in the middle, which is where we booked for. We were sort of on opposite sides of the ship, same floor and everything. So that was a slight shame, which...
but we did book that.
Did we?
We did book them on the opposite side.
Did we?
Yes.
Did we want to be as far away from James's mum as possible?
No, it was so that depending on what side was coming into port, we could go and look out
that
side.
And that was what I was going to say. It had its advantages, you know, if you were coming into certain places and there was something on one side of the ship and not the other, you know, you could go in each other's room, which we did, didn't we? You know, we did make use of that. Anyway, so yeah, we left about 5:30. Went out. If you're looking geographically at a map, none of the cruise ships, or very rarely do the cruise ships do a right as if to go between the land and the Isle of Wight. I have heard more recently that they have been doing that from time to time, but we certainly didn't. We went to the right of the Isle of Wight and then into the English Channel. We were warned that it might be a little bit sort of choppy that night because, as I say, the weather hadn't been good that day, but I never remember it being that bad.
No, it wasn't too
bad. And then, as I say, you sort of, you know, day 2 to 4 was sort of, you know, sea days, and you think to yourself, oh, you know, 3 days at sea straight away. But it's amazing how much there is to do on these ships, and Ventura probably is one of their smaller ships, but we never didn't have something to do, did we? Even if we sort of went to the Crow's Nest, I'm not even sure if that's what it's called on there, but at the front of the ship there's a lovely bar of an evening. There's a sort of, you know, a pianist in there playing, and you know, it's quite a nice place to chill out, and I don't think you ever struggle to get a table in there, do you? But yeah, it's the sort of place you could go and just sort of watch the world go by, as it were. Not much to see when you're at sea, but you know, you can, you know, read, take your phone, you know, check your emails, whatever you want to do. We played cards, didn't we, from time to time? So there's always something to do. I will just sort of touch briefly on it in case I forget later. The kids club on there was really, really good. They were, I think, sort of 3 or 4 sort of age groups, weren't there? You might remember more than I do about that.
They had obviously the babies, and then the smaller children, then the pre-teens, and then they've got the teens club, sort of for those ones that are able to come and go as they please.
Yeah. I went to a couple of the talks. I can't even remember the guy's name now, but he was doing quite a few sort of war talks, which, you know, I found very interesting. And I feel a bit embarrassed actually, because I did find it very interesting, but I found myself nodding off a couple of times, not because it wasn't interesting what he was talking about, but because you're in that holiday sort of mood and mindset. You know, you sort of drift in and out, and I felt a bit bad because I was sort of sat in the middle near the front because I was interested by what he was saying. But I did speak to him a couple of times when I saw him around the ship as well, and he never sort of looked at me as if to say, well, you weren't that interested because you fell asleep. But he was a really, really nice guy. I wish I could remember his name. If I can think about it, I'll put it in the notes at the end. But anyway, the entertainment on Ventura, and I can only speak for Ventura, and again, it's our opinion. And that's the thing to bear in mind when we do these. It's our opinion. You know, you can make your own opinions. We can only tell you how we saw it. So yeah, that's just something to bear in mind. And maybe I should have said that at the beginning. But the entertainment we thought was okay, didn't we? You know, the shows that we wanted to go to, you know, we were always managed to get to. The only thing is sometimes not so much the main arena, although you did have to get there sort of earlier. But there was I can't even think what it was called, the bar at the other end of the ship. I can't think what it was called, but if you've been on Ventura, you're going on Ventura. It's at the rear of the ship, and it's where there's sort of quite a bit of live singing, and you had to get there super, super early because it wasn't hugely stocked with chairs and tables. Well, it was, but just not for the amount of people. They do a couple of shows a night, don't they? in most cases. But
they had a rock band, didn't they?
Yeah, and I just think, I mean, we would go for dinner, and then I would sort of find myself leaving dinner, leaving the girls and James, so I could go and make sure we got a table, which I always did. So that's just a little tip. Sometimes it pays just to go and do it as early as you can. So day 5, we first stop was Madeira. If I'm looking down, guys, I'm not being rude. It's just I'm looking at photos at the same time, just so it refreshes my mind as to where we were and what we were doing. But Madeira, we had a coach trip booked, which we sort of went up the mountains, which a coach with the roads in Madeira was pretty hectic, wasn't it? It was, these drivers, fair dues to them, because they obviously, I know they do it all the time, but it was very, 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 very good, very well organised. We went to it wasn't not wine tasting, was it? Can you remember what it was? We had some Madeira cake and some traditional sort of Madeira wine. Was it?
Yeah, sweet Madeira wine.
Sweet Madeira wine. I didn't like it. Did you like it? No, it was a bit too sweet.
A bit like a sherry.
Yeah. But Madeira, I really enjoyed Madeira, and I would quite happily go back there on holiday and explore more of it. We weren't fortunate enough to do the the cable cars. We did go to the Ritz whilst we were there. I'm just looking at a photo now. Incidentally, all these photos are on one of the earlier vlogs that I did at the beginning. I wasn't doing the sort of the videoing so much then, so there is a few videos I think on there, but essentially it's mostly photos. But yeah, we went to the Ritz in Funchal, and that was all very nice. We then sort of had a walk around sort of the park that was opposite the Ritz, where we saw some lizards. We then made our way back to the ship to go on the coach trip, where, as I say, we went to this. We stopped at a few places. I think we stopped at where Ronaldo supposedly grew up. We saw his museum whilst we were there. It's quite incredible how you go from sun to cloud once you go up into the mountains. We'd experienced it once before on Crete or Cyprus, hadn't we? Where it would gone from sun to snow. So sort of we'd experienced it once before, but it's always quite a unique situation. Julia and James did venture a bit further up the mountain than myself and Mum. Obviously, Mum can't walk as far. But that was all good. And then I can't remember what the place was called, but we went to sort of a glass bottom sort of walkway out on the cliff, didn't we? Where, yeah, I didn't give you a thank you for that, but James quite enjoyed it. I'm just looking at the photo now. But yeah, as I say, Madeira was really, really nice, and we enjoyed Madeira, and definitely would like to go back there at some stage and do the old cable cars and just see more of it, really. Then sort of day 6, we arrived in La Palma. La Palma was there then. If you've been watching the Netflix series, if you believe what you see, it's not there anymore. I'm sure it definitely still is there. But it's quite funny seeing the opening scenes to say, "Oh, I've been there, been there, been there." So yeah, that was quite nice. La Palma was really nice, really lovely. Obviously one of the smaller Canary Islands, but as with most of these cruise ships places they stop, it's very much sort of geared up for the tourists, wasn't it, in the sort of local area. I think we stopped somewhere and had a drink, didn't we, in a bar on the beach, didn't we?
Yeah.
From it was there, wasn't it? Again, nice place. I can't think of anything that jumped out, as absolutely unbelievable or unique. We didn't do a trip there, did we? We just sort of pleased ourselves. There weren't any trips that really appealed there, was there? That particular night, between La Palma and going to Tenerife, we had a dress. I think it was our second dress up night. I always think to myself, when it's so hot, it's going to be a right rigmarole. But we're very lucky with the air conditioning on the ship, wasn't it? It works very, very well. So you don't really notice it so much. And then no sooner have you had your sort of dress up, evening meal, you can sort of take your jacket off and your tie and what have you. So as I just said, from there, day 7 was Tenerife. I think that was one of the first mornings Julie and I got breakfast in bed. I got some cornflakes. Julie got a nice fruit salad and some juices and some croissants. It was all good, wasn't it? Delivered to your door. That's all free. That's all part of it. I don't know whether it still is now, but it certainly was then. I'd like to think, it's something that they would keep doing. There's a little bit of something nice. Tenerife. I'm just sort of trying to remember. I think we just sort of went for a walk around there as well. I don't think we did any trips there, did we, on Tenerife?
I don't think so.
But yeah, we just went sort of for a walk around. Again, it was all very nice around the pool, all geared up for the tourists. Gran Canaria, wow, was it hot that day? And we'd chosen to go to the beach that day, and it was sort of organised by P&O. We went to I can't remember what the beach was. It was Maspalomas, wasn't it? That's it. It was Maspalomas.
The sand dunes.
Yeah, where the sand dunes were. James had great fun on the sand dunes. It was 40 that day when we went there, and it was so hot. And there was a bit of a breeze as well, but Mum found it a bit too much, so she stayed in a bar right under an air conditioning machine, which I think she probably had the right idea, to be fair. But the waves were pretty big on that beach as well, and James was loving it, wasn't he? And we were sort of taking it in turns to go in there with him. But yeah, that was really nice. That was quite a relaxing day actually, although it was very, very hot. And then we got a little bit messed around by the coaches having to wait, and the wrong coaches were coming and stuff like that, wasn't it? But we got back to the ship. That is the one good thing about doing these excursions with P&O as opposed to sort of doing it yourself, is that the ship won't go until you're back. So if you're delayed for whatever reason, they won't go. But if you've gone on your own, like in a taxi, for example, and there's a problem, they don't wait. It's up to you to make your own way to the next stop. So yeah, just bear that in mind. And we've all seen some of these. It's a funny video when it's not you, isn't it? There's having to run after a ship, but yeah, it's that is what happens. So yeah, we then went from there to Lanzarote, where we did Fire Mountain. Again, lots and lots of photos on the vlog that was put on earlier. But we did Fire Mountain. I thought was one of the better, well, probably the best trip we did, wasn't it? They did these sort of experiments on the volcano and stuff like that. And it is a volcano. That's something to bear in mind. It is a live volcano. So yeah, it was, and you got the black sand, and again, it was quite breezy that day. There's one particular photo that always makes me chuckle when I look at Mum's hair, because it was sweeping back. I had my hat on, but it was anchored down. But yeah, it was particularly windy that day. We then had a sea day, going on our way back to Cadiz, and I think that night was another dress-up night by the looks of it. Arrived in Cadiz. Cadiz was probably the nicest port I think we went to. It almost felt like a new town, didn't it? Almost. It was very clean, very tidy. We got the open top bus there, didn't we? Round, so we saw quite a lot. Once we finished with the open top bus, we then walked sort of into the town sort of centre. Now, Mum couldn't walk up sort of the hill, so James stayed with Mum, and Judy and I sort of walked up this sort of reasonably wide sort of shopping area with shops on both sides, didn't we? We sort of got to the sort of main town square, would you call it, there, where there was sort of loads of little bars and a cathedral there and what have you. I'd like to have spent a little bit more time there, to be honest with you, because it was very, very nice. And I'll give one sort of snippet away. We are going on another cruise later this year, and Cadiz, funnily enough, is the first place we stop at, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So I will be sort of trying to do a bit more in Cadiz, which we wouldn't be doing the open top bus. I don't think there's any point doing that as we've done it now, but certainly do a bit more walking around. And Mum can certainly sort of do as much or as little as she wants, but yeah, that's certainly something that I would like to do. We then went from Cadiz onto Lisbon in Portugal, for which was our last stop. I will say they sort of put out lots of multiple warnings about sort of the pickpocketing and crime in Lisbon, which I understand why they do it, but I think if you're on an organised tour, you're pretty safe, to be fair. But we did again an open top bus around there, didn't we? And that was really good. Saw a lot. I think we did two, didn't we? Then we got one to it wasn't a town square as such, but it was sort of the north end of the town, it looked like, and then you had to get another bus to go back, didn't you?
Well, there were different buses that did different routes, and we did 2 routes, didn't we?
Is that what we did?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, we got back to the ship. I mean, what was that? An hour and a half, couple of hours? I can't even remember, to be honest with you. But anyway, it was certainly a good hour and a half, few hours. Certainly seeing Lisbon, and I think those open top buses, if you don't want to sort of do the tours with the cruise company, I think that's probably the next best thing, because you don't pay as much, but you still see quite a lot, and you can jump on and off, can't you? So they're pretty good. And then day 13, 14 were on our way back to Southampton. I said I'd touch on a couple of things. The buffet, this is my opinion, I think Julie would agree as well. I could take it or leave it, to be honest with you. It was handy late in the evening if you wanted a snack.
Yeah.
But that's about it, wasn't it? It wasn't great, was it? I think
it depends what you wanted. If you just wanted to get something to eat quite quickly, or you were wanting to go see a show or something, it was handy.
But the food wasn't great, was it? It was as you say, it was quick and it was easy.
There was always something there if you wanted something.
Yeah, agree with that. It was just crap. The main dining room on Ventura, there's one, I want to say it was deck 5 and one on deck 6, or maybe it's 5 and 4. I can't remember, but there's 2. And they were both very, very good, weren't they? We were always looked after. James in particular is very fussy with his food, and they were very, very good at catering for that. Which is a weight off our shoulders, because if you've got a fussy child, that's no fun at all. But I think, I don't know, you and James didn't come in for lunch every day, did we? But mostly Mum and I went in for lunch, and it was always the lunches were good as well.
Well, James tended to like the pizza and chip place near the pool.
I forgot about that, but yeah, it was a pizza and burger place, wasn't it?
Yeah,
and chips,
French fries. So we tended to go. He would get that, and then I'd get some bits from the buffet and a cup of coffee from the buffet, and we'd sit outside and eat that while you went for a meal.
But again, that's all part of the package. The ice cream place, which is sort of opposite side of the swimming pool, that you have to pay for, don't you? But the burger, chips, and what have you, you had to pay for. We went to the Epicurean, didn't we? The once for afternoon tea. Yes. That was a lot of money for what it was, but it was quite nice to do it, and it was something different, wasn't it? We went to Sindhu, didn't we? Sindhu, the Indian. That was one of the last nights we did. That was very, very nice. Did we do any other special? Oh, we did the beach bar for my birthday, didn't we?
We did the beach house.
Beach house for my birthday.
Yeah.
That
Nice.
was good. We enjoyed that, didn't we?
Yeah, nice steak in there.
And they made me a nice birthday cake, which you might have seen from the photos. I think that was all for the specialist restaurants, didn't we?
Yeah, we didn't go to the glass house.
No.
Which was a shame. I'd like to have done that.
Yeah, well,
we can do that the next time.
Yeah, we can do it the next time. So I think that's pretty much it covered. I mean, I quite enjoyed the shopping. I think Julia enjoyed the shopping. Spent far too much money.
You did.
On you, some of it as well. But overall, if it's your first cruise, I think Ventura is a very, very good taster because it's not too big, it's not too daunting, it's pretty straightforward. It is one of the older ships in P&O's fleet. But for the reasons I just said, if it is one of your or is your first cruise, I would say it's a pretty good ship to go on. It's pretty cost effective. I know there's obviously other cruise lines out there that's a lot more money, and maybe you get more for that money. But you know, if you're looking to travel on a sensible budget, I think that's probably a good place to start, isn't it?
And it's quite small, so it's not too overwhelming.
Yeah, exactly that. As I say, you know, in conclusion, we did book another cruise, which I will share with you on Sunday when we do the live vlog about holiday updates for this year. But we must have enjoyed it, and all I'll say is I am not a lover of boating, but I really enjoyed this cruise. We were very lucky with the weather from the point of view of the Bay of Biscay both ways. Whether we'll have that same luck when we go this year, I don't know. Maybe I'll end up looking back at this vlog and saying, what the hell did I say that for? But from that experience, it was very, very good. Yeah, quite pleasant. I think it was only a couple of nights. I think I can honestly say I got up and was rocking when I was going to the toilet. We had a balcony room. I didn't say that. Quite nice to be able to open patio door and, you know, look out. But again, that's all about budget, isn't it? You don't have to do that. You can get an inside cabin. It's each to your own. We have got another balcony room this year, and we are next door to Mum and James as well. So we can open the balconies up and have a bit more of a bigger balcony. Anyway, more about that Sunday. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed the chat. As I say, if there is any questions, I have put there is a chat box at the bottom, and also you can contact me or us, should I say, on Facebook. The stream is there as well. So yeah, we'll catch up again soon. And as I say, hopefully you've taken something out of it. Take care, guys. Bye.